Welcome to the Wilson Wealth Show, a thought-provoking show about building wealth in the new economy. Each week, members of the Wilson Wealth team and their guests will discuss how to navigate the world of personal finance, stocks, real estate, and entrepreneurship to help you build wealth in the new economy. And now, here is your host, Ciera McCosh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wilson Wealth Show. My name is Ciera McCosh, and today I have Miss Ablavi with me. How you doing today, Ablavi?
I'm doing well, Ciera. How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy to have you back on. Today we're going to be talking about maternity and money, maternity leave, baby funds, all of that. It's a big topic, especially with women in the industry. There's a lot of problems with working mothers, there's stigmas, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So we're here to just give our own personal opinions of what we've experienced, drop some statistics on you, all kinds of stuff like that. So I think we're just going to start off with maternity leave. So Blavi, would you mind giving your experience on that?
Well, I'm expecting my first child within the next 5 weeks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, super excited. It's going to be a new, amazing adventure. So with that being said, I have personal experience with this. At present, where I'm employed, the way it works for us is that the first 7 days, we can utilize paid sick time. And this is from the side of the mother, right? I'm not sure about the paternity part if you're a dad, but as the mom, you can utilize the first 7 days sick leave. The next 6 weeks, if you have a vaginal birth, you get paid 60%. If you have a cesarean, you get still 60%, but it's for 8 weeks. After that, you get 6 weeks. 100% at your salary. And then depending on the manager's decision, you can utilize additional time through PTO. Personally, I want to do at least 4 months. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm very fortunate to be able to do so because I know in a lot of cases, people don't get those types of options.
Right, it's true. I mean, that is very generous of your company, and that's kind of the way it is in the US now, is it really does vary by company. It just depends on who you're with, how generous they're feeling, how big the company is, because really there's no federal law for paid maternity leave. We do have federal law for unpaid across the states, which is at least 5 weeks unpaid. I know right now we only have 4 states that actually provide or have some law with paid maternity leave. That would be California, New Jersey, New York, and Rhode Island. Not Rhode Island. You know what I mean.
Sure.
Yes. So it's a little bit all over the place. You really can't guarantee anything. It really does depend company by company. I mean, yes, it's nice that we are getting some states that are starting to get into the paid maternity leave, but even then, it's only like 6 weeks, which, you look at the studies, which I'm sure you have, you're about to have a baby. We all over prepare for things like that. It's a big part of your life. It's a new adventure. So I'm sure you've looked that, really we need to have at least 3 months with a newborn. Mothers need 3 months. I mean, if you're breastfeeding, you got to be around, or you got to have a place to pump. It's all very complicated, and it's really important for the child's development to have that time uninterrupted. And it's very hard. You have to be very fortunate, maybe in a higher position or with a really good company to get that. And it's not easy. It's really not easy because, of course, we want the best for our children,
Absolutely. I think it's particularly egregious that in the most powerful country in the world, we are lagging so far behind when it comes to mothers and their children, mothers or fathers, families in general.
Oh, yeah.
And being able to care for their children, however that family might look. It's painful, in my opinion.
It is painful. I mean, of all the developed countries, we are at the very bottom of the list for maternity leave. We're also very low on maternal morbidity, which just means, mothers who either pass away during childbirth or within like the first, I think it's like the first like 3 months afterwards when things are a little bit delicate. It's really sad because we are a very developed country. We should be at the top of the list here, but we are at the very bottom of that list as well, of developed countries, of course. And it's incredibly sad. I don't know how it's even possible, honestly, because, we live here. We're kind of used to it. You grow up, learning the laws and stuff like that. You don't really think that it's a big deal until it affects you personally, and until you step outside of your own laws and you look around the world at what other developed countries are doing, and you're just like, well, why can't we do that?
Right.
Like what's really stopping us? Why aren't mothers our priority? They're just not. And it's particularly sad because, about 43% of mothers currently, whether they're in a relationship or not, are working. 43% across the board,
Right.
And we can all agree that with just the way things are now, having a double income is incredibly important right now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think it goes back to a prior segment that we had, women and money.
Mm-hmm.
And just the more money you have, the more options you have, right?
Yes.
And as much as it may not be politically correct to admit, we live in a society of have and have nots.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's
so
true.
if you're on the have side, then this is a non-issue because you can afford a night nanny, day nanny, in between nanny, all of the above nanny. And it's not a big deal for you, or you don't have to go to work or what have you. So it's just unfortunate that is a decision you have to pretty much pick between your child and your child and your ability to provide for your child. That's
true.
an unfortunate place to be.
And the only people who can really truly afford it are within the upper class.
Right.
When we're talking about like middle incomes or like lower income, you're at the point where you can't afford basic daycare, childcare in general. It's incredibly expensive. If you're forced to go back to work, you obviously want to have someone that you trust with your newborn baby as well, or your 3-month-old baby or your 2-month-old baby. You can't just leave them with anybody. And I know personally, I used to work in a daycare. There are a lot of places that won't accept children who are too young, because you do have to have special licensing for things like that. You can't just take in a brand newborn baby, because, immunizations come into play, like all kinds of stuff comes into play there. And it's really sad because I think in a lot of ways we have trapped families in boxes, especially mothers. Fathers too, because there is no federal law for paternity leave at all. Unpaid, paid, nothing.
Right. Right. Exactly.
You got to work for a very progressive company for them to even consider something like that here in the U.S. at least.
Right.
So
exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if your husband is able to have any sort of paternity leave or anything like that. I mean, it's just highly uncommon. I don't know what his company is doing for him. So it's just up in the air.
And I think fortunately for us, he is going to be on his summer break because he is in the education field.
That's right.
So he'll be on summer break. So that is to our benefit.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't believe there is some type of extended leave time for dads within the county that he works for. We didn't even bother looking into it because we knew it wasn't going to be applicable due to timing. But this brings up a good point, because this is why it's important for families to have some type of a baby fund.
Absolutely.
So they can be able to accommodate the financial demands that they end up incurring when they choose to have children. And those financial demands vary. It could be there's money needed we know there will be money needed more than likely for when you are on leave. And then let's just say you're somebody who has challenges having children. You
Mhm.
have to think about the cost, the astronomical cost in some cases associated with fertility treatment.
Oh, yeah. And many women are having babies older. Like that's
Right.
just across the board. That's what's happening. Many women are having babies in their 30s when, let's say about 30 years ago, not many women were. So because of that, a lot of women are needing fertility treatments. There are different types, of course. We've got IVF and we've got like lesser forms, which are not as invasive. But because of that, now we have a whole new layer of financial problems that mothers have to worry about. Like, okay, well, if I want to make money and we need to be ready for this baby, we need to have a baby fund ready. Okay, I'm not going to be able to have a baby until I'm 30 or mid 30s or late 30s, and then you plan for that, everything goes really well, and you're excited, and then you find out that there's fertility issues. So then you got to plan for that financially. So it becomes like this big rabbit hole of
Right.
needing more and more finance.
Well, it's to the point now where I would venture to say that if you look at your life goals and children are something that you desire, go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and start putting money aside. Just like you put money aside for anything else, go ahead and just start proactively putting money aside because you will need it. Let's just say, best case scenario, you don't have any fertility issues.
Mm-hmm.
You're with an amazing company that gives you paid time off for at least 3 months. You're going to need it for daycare, right?
Of course.
Go back to work, or you're eventually going to need it to fund that child.
Yes.
So it's not going to go to waste. You're going to
No.
utilize it for this child.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is like where the baby doesn't stop having needs after 3 months.
Exactly.
Like everybody plans for those 3 months. Granted, they're very important. Very, very important time in an infant's life, of course. However, your child's going to grow. They're going to need more expensive things as they get older. Like that's just how it works. It just gets exponentially more expensive. You got to think about schooling, college, daycares, just across the board expensive. So I think even if, let's just say, you are lucky enough to have everything go your way every which way. You don't need fertility treatments. You and your husband have a great job. You're doing real well. You work for a good company that is giving you time off that's paid, either full or half or whatever it is. You're still going to need money for the baby as they grow. And that time passes so quickly. So
Absolutely.
quickly.
Absolutely. Definitely. So, if you don't take anything from this podcast,
Mhm.
just take this. Evaluate if you want to have a child or children. I recommend evaluate the number of children you want to have.
Oh, yeah.
And then once you do that, start putting money aside for each of them
Hmm.
for as long as you possibly can, because it will not go to waste.
Absolutely. Being proactive is so, so important, especially with such a big life decision that is having children. Think about it as buying a house that you're going to have for the rest of your life. That you're never going to really pay off.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, think
Definitely.
of it as your next really big, financial decision because it should be considered that. It really should. I know it sounds a little bit coarse to consider a child a financial decision, but it really is. And you kind of have to, be realistic about it and really be proactive about it and plan for those expenses, especially if you live here in the US, if you're listening. It's going to be expensive no matter what. We haven't even gotten into what it costs to have a baby.
Right. Exactly.
So it's very important. So I guess all of this buildup that we've gotten to, our entire point for this entire podcast, like you said, Ablavi, is to make sure you have a baby fund for whatever comes up in your life.
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
Whether it be infertility, whether it be, your job isn't as forgiving as you had hoped, not paying you in full, or you're completely unpaid, you got to have money set aside very early on before you even think about trying. All right. So I think that's all we have for you today. We hope that you all enjoyed, and we hope to see you again. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you for listening with Wilson Wealth. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to today's podcast. Please visit us at www.wilsonwealth.com, on Instagram and Twitter at Wilson Wealth, and on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Wilson Wealth for more information about us and the company. We'll see you guys next week on the Wilson Wealth Show.
Thank you for listening to the Wilson Wealth Show, a thought-provoking show about building wealth in the new economy. Each week, members of the Wilson Wealth team and their guests will discuss how to navigate the world of stocks, real estate, and entrepreneurship to help you build wealth in the new economy. Please join us next time on the Wilson Wealth Show.